Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, just the other day on Twitter, leftoids were real unhappy. And now, of course, we know that to be the baseline. Leftoids tend to be very miserable, unhappy people. But the question is, what exactly were they unhappy about this time? They were totally furious with CNN spamming hashtag boycott CNN and got it to the trending tab with over 30,000 tweets. And a good chunk of leftoids were very angry with Mr. Chris Cillizza. Of course, we've mentioned him before. He's one of the top political analysts at CNN, and they were furious with him because Chris Cillizza claimed that Republicans are favored to win the House and the Senate. Of course, coping Democrats have yet to cope with this one. They've been telling themselves that the Senate isn't even in play and that Democrats are guaranteed to retain the Senate and Republicans are going to make a small little splash in the House. And so to hear their own network tell them that they're probably going to lose the Senate as well as the House, well, of course, leftoids weren't too happy and they were spamming hashtag boycott CNN once again, because leftoids follow MSNBC and CNN not to get updated on the facts, but rather to be told what they want to hear. But over here, we really don't care what leftoids want to hear, so let's cover reality as we get closer and closer to what seems to be a massive red wave forming, as now even the Real Clear Politics RCP projection is projecting not only a Republican House, but a Republican Senate majority. Let me show you guys what's going on and why leftoids are melting down as usual. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so here we are on the Battle for the Senate 2022 page. You take a look at both sides and you got 46 Democrats, 46 Republicans. These are relatively safe seats on each side, or just not up for election seats. And of course what really matters here are the 8 toss-up elections right in the middle. These races right over here are going to dictate whatever direction the Senate goes in. If Democrats manage to win 50%, if they win 4 out of these 8 toss-up races, then nothing changes and they have maintained their slim majority with Vice President Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. And if you're paying attention to 538, Nate Plastic's 538, and paying attention to what the Democrats are saying on various different social media platforms, well, Nate Plastic states that Democrats have an 80% chance of retaining the Senate, and Democrats are of course mirroring that same sentiment. And if you just take a look at the polling data and take it at surface value, to a certain extent you could see where they're coming from. Nearly every single race as we click through has Democrats winning. Arizona Masters versus Kelly, Mark Kelly is leading by 5 points on average. In the New Hampshire Senate election, Maggie Hassan is leading by 4 points. There's basically a statistical tie in North Carolina between Ted Budd and Cherry Beasley. In Nevada, Cortez Masto is supposedly winning by 2 points. In Pennsylvania, communist John Fetterman is supposedly winning by nearly 7 points at 6.5%. In Wisconsin, Ron Johnson is losing to communist Mandela Barnes by supposedly 4.3 points. And so just based on the data right over here, if you take it face value, Democrats are poised to win 6 out of 8 toss-up races, Senate majority gaining 2 seats in the 2022 election. But then why is it, and of course the Democrats' horror, that the Real Clear Politics Battle for the Senate RCP projection, based on the exact numbers that I just showed you guys from their own website, from their own polling averages, is now projecting a net gain of GOP plus 2 Republicans leading with 52 seats in the Senate after all is said and done. So even Real Clear Politics, with all of the data suggesting a Democrat win, they're making a projection accounting for much more than just the numbers. They're using historical trends, voter enthusiasm, probably Joe Biden's presidency, undecided voter split, independent support, and most important issues to the voters ahead of 2022, and they're coming up with this projection right over here, expecting Republicans to overperform in almost every single state. They're projecting that Cortez Masto is going to lose in Nevada. They're projecting that Mehmet Oz is going to beat communist John Fetterman, that Ron Johnson is going to win in Wisconsin, that Cortez Masto is going to win in Nevada, and Herschel Walker is going to win in Georgia, along with J.D. Vance carrying his state in North Carolina, of course, staying red. And Democrats, of course, are really struggling with this, but there's not much to struggle with. Do you seriously think Mandela Barnes is going to win in Wisconsin? That incumbent Republican Senator Ron Johnson is going to lose to Mandela Barnes, one of the most extreme left-wing politicians currently running? I mean, just take a look at some of this guy's crazy left-wing stances.
Do you believe, as some of them did, that we can over a period of years, cut our inmate population by 1/2, Mandela?
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that happens over time. It's not something that happens overnight. If you stop sending more people back to prison, if we reduce our recidivism rate.
You know, one of the most unfortunate things, I posted this on Twitter, or I reshared something on Twitter, where somebody took a picture of one of the protesters who was outside the governor's mansion. and it said "Open my business," and then the store, and they had like a sign that says "My business matters." And like the most important thing about this whole scene is the word "my," and that's what I've been saying all along. Is a lot of too many people are being selfish, where it's just my business, not.
In the race for a Wisconsin U.S. Senate seat, security costs are becoming something of an issue. A report in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel finds the Democratic candidate, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, averages more than 13 and a half hours of security protection each day, more than 10 times as many hours as his predecessor. Now, that comes at a daily cost of $660 for the wages of patrol officers.
I don't see how a Democrat like Mandela Barnes wins in Wisconsin, especially over Ron Johnson. And of course, I'm looking at the exact same thing in the state of Pennsylvania. I just don't see how John Fetterman wins. And of course, John Fetterman's health is becoming a serious question.
As we've reported, Fetterman's campaign has been tight-lipped on details about the candidate's recovery. So legitimate questions about his health status remain. But he says the way Oz has raised his stroke recovery has been unacceptable. Now, for his part, Fetterman has spent a considerable amount of time mocking Oz on social media.
But then again, even if Democrats were to win one of these states, and the polls that we're seeing in one of those states turn out accurate, well, the RCP projection is currently giving Arizona to the Democrats. That's not necessarily a safe Democrat win. In fact, the most recent Emerson College polling data shows Blake Masters only trailing by 2 points behind Mark Kelly. And something, of course, pollsters are not paying attention to is the undecided split. Take a look at this very interesting tweet from Realignment Politics. In the Arizona Emerson poll, undecided voters in the Senate race disapprove of Biden at a 59% disapproval to 27% approve. And undecided voters in the governor's race disapprove of Biden at 76% disapproval to 17% approve. Boding well for Blake Masters and Kari Lake down the stretch. If they can coalesce these voters, they will take the lead. The simple fact of the matter remains when it comes to this election. Independents are splitting Republican, undecided probably splitting Republican as well. Democrats are not going to show up with the same level of enthusiasm. Joe Biden is incredibly unpopular and the economy is probably going to crash in October. The fundamental circumstance remains unchanged, and one special election in New York's 19th congressional district doesn't mean the Democrats are poised to take a massive victory here. And even Real Clear Politics, which is a much more legitimate website than whatever website this guy's running, and they're currently putting Republicans ahead with 4 seats in the Senate race. And of course, that doesn't bode very well for Democrats. Trust me when I tell you copium Democrats don't want to hear this, but it's going to get worse for them in 2024 because Joe Manchin's favorability just hit an all-time low at 26% favorable and 66% unfavorable. Joe Manchin has been viewed as almost like a quasi-Democrat Republican, a Democrat senator who got elected in a Republican state. Well, pretty soon, it seems as though Joe Manchin headed into 2024, which is when he's up for re-election, might get replaced by a Republican, meaning Democrats are poised to lose another Senate seat almost by default in the next major election cycle. Liberals on Twitter are getting really angry at anyone who suggests that there's a Republican tsunami, a red wave tsunami right around the corner. They've convinced themselves that Dobbs has changed the entire thing, but I think the next couple months are going to be a serious wake-up call for all of these deluded copium-hopium Democrats. To put it very simply, you have totally inaccurate left-wing favored polls like YouGov, Politico, and others that are suggesting the Democrats are ahead by 5 or 6 points, and then you have historically accurate pollsters showing Republicans ahead by 4 to 5, 6 points. And the answer is probably not in the middle. The answer is probably either or. One of these groups or one of these sides is correct. It's either Politico and YouGov, or it's Rasmussen and Trafalgar. And in the end, I guess we'll just have to see who comes out on top. I'm putting my money on a Republican Senate and a Republican House. That's what I got for you guys though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.